I want to talk about the chairman of NVidia, Jensen Huang. His is an amazing story, and as how he grew up and so on and so forth, and how he is now caught in a controversy between China and the United States over, you guessed it, chips. And I also want to tell you how China, treats every good technology company like a ripe mango, only to suck everything out of it and spit out the seed afterwards. This is a general philosophy that I have developed looking at so many companies, and we're going to look at some of the companies who have suffered at the hands of China. And is NVIDIA going to suffer the same fate? I wonder. But I'm full of admiration for this boy who was forced to leave Taiwan to go to Thailand. They spent a few years there, and then his parents sent him from there to United States. And he came to live with, I think, either a relative or something of that nature. And the people who he was living with, they didn't know much of English. They ended up accidentally enrolling him in a school for juvenile delinquents, meaning reform school. And this kid, who used to have long hair and who spoke English in a very accented way, used to be the butt of jokes, and he used to be abused quite a bit physically. So he learned to stand up and also thrive in such a pressure cooker environment. In fact, at the age of 14 or 16, I don't remember exactly, he was mentioned in Sports Illustrated. So Jensen Huang is somebody who never says give up. And he has come through a lot of stuff. So this latest incident where NVIDIA was actually willing to sit with the Trump administration to pay a certain amount of money, because not shipping chips to China would have been a big problem to their bottom line. And they said, okay, we will pay you so much money. But even that looks like it is in jeopardy, because China has said, we no longer need NVIDIA chips. So what exactly is going on? What is the problem? All this and more in this video. And a small request to all of you, as always, to like this video. And if you have not subscribed to our channel, do subscribe to our channel. Here we go.
Badiagrama saved my life. This place is the best in the world. It's so professional, kind, gentle. It's absolutely, really the best.
I came here with some brain fog. It cured me. And this place is blessed by God. May God shower more grace on Badiagrama.
China exploits and discards technology companies. Here is another shining example. Now, what happened was, in an interview to a website called BG2Pod, I don't know the exact name of the podcast, he actually called China hawks as unpatriotic, and that is the one that got him into a lot of trouble, because suddenly people are saying, oh, here is a Chinese, because many don't differentiate the fact that he's from Taiwan instead of China, and everybody tends to get painted in the same brush. So the problem here is selling leverage to Beijing. Does Beijing have the technology NVIDIA has, or does it not? If it does not, then how did it say we don't need your chips anymore? Unless they figured out a backdoor route getting NVIDIA chips into their products. I don't know. But I tell you, I look at TikTok. TikTok is doing a fantastic job of marketing new products, guys. And it's so habit forming. YouTube can learn a thing or two from how they present their products in TikTok. And I think that genre is something that should be exploited by YouTube, perhaps even Instagram. And this is something that is really, really very, very eye-catching, let's say. So what happened? Huang portrays NVIDIA as essential to China's AI development, emphasizing mutual dependence in US-China ties. However, this overlooks Beijing's view of NVIDIA as a temporary bridge until domestic alternatives emerge. For the longest time, I've had people who have their chips fabricated in China murmur that Chinese, when they look at the design, see what happens is, I think it's called the GDS2 tape. I could be wrong. Viewers, those of you who are in the semiconductor or the fab industry, don't kill me, but I think it's called GDS2 tape. It might still be the same. That is the ultimate thing a chip company would give. Chip design companies are in the United States, in other places, but finally, when you want to take the design and create it into an integrated circuit, the final thing that you give over is a GDS2. And then it is something that many people have murmured, that whenever these things go to Chinese fabs, that Chinese actually go and reverse engineer this stuff, and they actually put some more of their own chip technology into these chips, which only they can access. I mean, this is sounding James Bondian, but people have been caught doing this thing. So it's not something that is, moon story or something of that nature. This has been done in the past. So people suspect that even NVIDIA's technology, if they were having it fabricated in China and not TSMC, there could be possibility that, they could have been already copied by the Chinese, and therefore China is just looking at NVIDIA as a temporary bridge until its own people catch up in technology. Now, each NVIDIA chip exported to China advances Chinese self-sufficiency, shortening NVIDIA's market share. By the way, it's not just NVIDIA who's in graphics chips. AMD also has this, but it is believed that AMD is probably one generation or two generations behind the NVIDIA technology, and I don't say anything. They have not been following that segment, so I can't say one way or the other. But NVIDIA is considered the reference design. For example, most of the laptops that I use, I always look for NVIDIA graphics enabled chip for the graphics, because it gets me some features that I needed for whether it is video processing or for doing online gatherings and things like that. So I am always looking for NVIDIA because I believe that gives me an edge in whatever I do. Okay, so this edge is here today, but for how long? And what does this mean when China says that we no longer need NVIDIA chips? Is it just a bargaining tool, or is it really true that China has found a way around NVIDIA's technology? See, the history tells us that CCP consistently discards foreign partners once their value is extracted. There are many stories, right? Nortel, Nokia, and Ericsson, they dominated China's market, but now what happened? All of them are gone. They no longer sell telecom equipment. It's Huawei, ZTE, a few places where others are doing it, but it is dominated by the Chinese. Much of that was standards based, of course, which means that if you once adhere to standard, you're going to be able to work. But there was a lot of work that had to go in, and the speed with which China has emerged tells us that there has been a lot of inspiration grabbing. So this again, lends value to what I have been saying, that sometimes Chinese fabs insert technology that helps them understand and digest somebody else's cutting edge technology into their own product. Not only that, you have the instance of even a simple thing like a laptop, which is a well-defined product. But IBM had a laptop which had some unique features. IBM, it was a mainframe company, then it reinvented itself as a desktop company. You had the XT computer, the AT computer, and so on. And they had a keyboard that had a clickety-clackety feel, tactile feel. The key would push back when you were typing. And those of us who learned programming with the IBM computers, we used to love that keyboard. And that part of the technology, and there was this red color pointing mouse that they had invented, IBM had invented means like, let's say, design pattern. And this used to be part of their product called the Lenovo. And that Lenovo technology has been completely handed over to China now, and IBM has no stake in it, but Lenovo has absorbed that and it has taken it to a whole new level. I'm hearing there are foldable laptops that Lenovo is introducing. I also believe that these are already for sale in China. They have not yet come out to the international market. Just wait, this is going to come. In fact, it's a laptop 15.6 inch diagonal, but when you open it, it flattens out into a huge monitor with, you can use the screen itself to type in. I've seen some demos and it's very impressive. That's all I can say. Okay, let's get back to what happens in Beijing whenever they look at new technology. See, this is something called as the rope metaphor, selling leverage to Beijing. Chinese business elites during the reform era, that is, I'm talking about, Zhu Rongji and Deng Xiaoping and Zhang Yang and so on and so forth, initially they saw collaborations as lasting alliances only to be sidelined once the CCP no longer required their expertise. America should have learned its lessons, right? They never did. Because this reveals a recurring CCP tactic, leveraging foreign capital for growth then discarding it. Once you're done, I don't need you anymore. Bye bye, tata, cheerio, see you later. So what does this tell to all the companies who believe that they can move their designs and manufacture them in China so that they can get better deals? Well, for sure, for many years now, China has established capital controls, meaning like American companies creating profits in China cannot repatriate that easily. Made it extremely difficult. For some reason, corporate America is very quiet about this. I don't know why. Only once in a while you hear stories about like where Chevron wanted to take out their profits and China wouldn't allow them. And that's one story that leaked out. There are many other stories like that. So they steal your technology, and when you have established divisions inside China, they don't allow you to repatriate your profits, which was not the case when you were told to start the company. This is the thing. You go in with a set of promises and rules to work with, and then the rules change. China is notorious for this, and I don't know why all these things are not being talked by the Trump administration. They feel that China has them over a pump. Why? How did it happen? Why did the American companies let themselves to be in this situation? Will NVIDIA prove different? Will NVIDIA stand up? Because this is one place where the United States company still has an edge. Shouldn't it just like stop selling to China? Maybe it will suffer a 20% hole in their bottom line. But it's a one-time thing. You'll take a one-time hit and then you'll start growing back again. Anyway, so let's wait and see how this is going to be approached by NVIDIA. I have a few more slides where I explain to you what are all the options NVIDIA is considering. So the problem about what happens to companies like NVIDIA is no matter what they do, flattery, bribe, whatever, Chinese don't budge. Once they have set their mind to steal your technology, they just suck you out. Just like I said, a succulent mango, you suck out every juice possible and spit out the seed. That's what has happened to companies like Nortel and so on. Let's hope that NVIDIA's fate is different. But important thing here is Huang was the first one to identify that AI trends can be very easily done using his graphics chips. It's called, I think, CUDA, C-U-D-A. I don't remember the expansion of that, but it's a massive set of parallel processors, and they have some special program which will basically split the task into multiple iterations and then put it back together for the final result. This is something that NVIDIA was doing very successfully, and they have done it well. I mean, they are a very profitable company. Those of you who are owning NVIDIA stock, congratulations to you. You have done well. So all this stuff has meant that NVIDIA has continued to be at the forefront of the technology. Their graphics chips are now at the forefront of the AI revolution. But is this just short-lived? This move by NVIDIA to want to sell to China, will this lead to America losing one more place where they might lose the lead? But the experiences of Jensen Huang in China, he has himself said that dealing with China is like a roller coaster ride. But how is it as far as Trump is concerned? Trump just said, okay, you can sell to China provided you put, I think, a 15% tariff, 15 or 25% tariff for all the chips sold in China. But I think even that is now up in the air because China has said, we don't need your chips. I'm going to do a separate monologue on this ongoing tariff war between US and China, how it has been going up and down, and why suddenly Trump has become very quiet as far as tariffs on China are concerned. What are the possible reasons for that? I'm going to analyze that in a separate monologue. Do come and watch that one. So now what NVIDIA is saying is, look, don't look at our financial estimates as far as the Chinese section of our market is concerned. This is going up and down. Just look at the remaining. But the thing about it is such a big chunk. I would not be surprised if 20% of their complete overall bottom line is coming from China's consumption of NVIDIA chips. If that is the case, that would put a big hole, and that means that NVIDIA's stock will take a dive. This is logical. I don't have any insights to it, and just wait and see how it goes. The other thing is that many people are not understanding what is going on in this battle of NVIDIA between America and China. Is NVIDIA being caught in a cleft stick? what exactly is going on, and is Trump aware that NVIDIA's secret sauce is perhaps being stolen by China, and that they will completely throw away NVIDIA's technology and start using their own? And if that is the case, what kind of technology is needed by way of nanometric processes? Do they have the fabs that can do that? Because remember, the Biden administration cut off access for China to the latest fab technology. Although I'm again hearing that ASML wants to get back into China and start selling. That, in my opinion, is wrong. ASML is a Netherlands company. Of course, the Dutch are finding it difficult right now. All these people, they've completely been taken over by deep state, and their policies of illegal immigration / legal immigration, whatever you want to call it, that has just made it impossible for them to survive as governments. And this is the main problem, in my opinion. They should have stuck to legal immigration, but somebody wanted one world order, and that has gone off to a story of on its own. Now, this case of NVIDIA is serving as a cautionary tale for all Western firms engaging with Beijing. Prioritize resilience over optimism to avoid becoming the next seed being spat out. By the way, that was my idea. If you like it, do put in by way of comments. I'm just using NVIDIA as an example. There are many other such stories also that have happened, and I feel bad that Jensen Huang is caught in this controversy. A brilliant man, he has much to give to the industry and the community, but unfortunate that when, as a CEO, you become the face of the company and you have to, face all these problems. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.